So you've brought us some fascinating excerpts on the wild woman, drawing from Clarissa Pinkola Estes' book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's packed with stories and symbolism, offering a really unique perspective on the feminine psyche.
Yeah, and what makes Estes' approach so intriguing is this blend of, well, she's a Jungian psychoanalyst, but also a cantadora.
A keeper of old stories, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
So she weaves together psychology, mythology, and folklore in a way that, just makes these ideas come alive.
I think that's why her work is so captivating, right? It's not just another self-help book. It feels more like, a journey into the depths of our souls, guided by this ancient wisdom.
Absolutely. And at the heart of that journey is the wild woman archetype, that instinctive, untamed force that we all have within us.
It's that archetype that leaves those muddy footprints on our soul and makes us yearn for a life that's more in tune with our instincts and passions.
You put it perfectly. Estes describes it as this deep longing to connect with our true selves. And she also portrays the wild woman as this life force. Imagine a seed seemingly dying in the ground, only to, burst forth with new life.
So it's not just about being wild in a superficial sense.
No, not at all.
It's about tapping into a much deeper wellspring of creativity, intuition, and passion.
Exactly. It's about becoming fluent in the language of dreams, passion, and poetry, as Estes puts it. And this concept is relevant to everyone because we all have this wild woman within us.
But modern society seems to constantly try to tame that wildness, pushing us to conform to all these expectations.
Absolutely. And that suppression has some pretty serious consequences. Estes talks about the too-good mother archetype, where a mother might unintentionally stifle her daughter's development, preventing her from embracing her own power.
Yeah, and then there's that red shoe story. That one really got to me. It's about chasing cheap thrills and validation and ending up in a meaningless life. I mean, I felt that pull towards the red shoes, sacrificing my passions for what I thought I should be doing.
Right, it's like making a deal with the devil figure Estes describes. Sacrificing our true desires for these fleeting moments of pleasure, or what society tells us we should want.
And ultimately, we lose touch with our instincts, our inner compass.
Precisely. So the question is, how do we reclaim this wild woman? Where do we even begin to unravel those expectations and reconnect with that untamed part of ourselves?
It feels daunting sometimes, right? Where do you even start?
Well, Estes believes that fairy tales and myths can act as guides. These stories aren't just entertainment, they're like maps for the soul, each one illuminating a different aspect of the journey back to wholeness.
Okay, I like that.
One really powerful example is the skeleton woman's story.
Oh, that one left a mark on me. It's about how love can be this powerful force of transformation, even when it feels like it's stripping us bare.
Like it's bringing us to our knees, right?
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think about those times you have to let go of something or someone you love deeply.
It's like that fisherman encountering the skeleton woman. The more he resists, the stronger her presence becomes. It's only when he stops fighting and starts caring for her, untangling her bones, that she returns to life.
And Estes suggests that even in loss, a powerful transformation is possible if we embrace that wild energy that emerges.
Absolutely. It reminds me of that line, wherever love is nascent, the life force will always surface. It's about that potential for growth and rebirth, even when facing grief or heartache.
It's about surrendering to the unpredictable nature of love, knowing that even in darkness, there's potential for incredible transformation.
Exactly. Another story that really resonated with me is The Ugly Duckling. It's a powerful reminder that our differences are our strengths.
That we don't have to conform to be worthy of love and belonging.
Exactly. The ugly duckling is rejected because he doesn't fit in with the other ducks. But he eventually finds his true family, the swans, and realizes that his uniqueness is beautiful.
And it highlights the importance of finding your tribe.
Yes, your soul family.
The people who celebrate your wildness and help you see your own worth.
Absolutely. We all need those mirrors reflecting back our authentic selves, reminding us of our unique beauty and power.
Then there's the mistaken zygote, which injects some humor into this whole thing. It's about feeling like you landed in the wrong family and embracing that you're different.
It encourages us to break free from those limiting expectations, even if it ruffles some feathers.
It's a reminder that it's okay to stand out, to be the black sheep, to forge your own path.
Right. But it's not always easy to embrace that wildness, especially when we face so much pressure to conform.
No, it's definitely not easy. And that's where the story of Bluebeard comes in. It's about recognizing and dismantling the inner predator.
Those voices that tell us we're not good enough, not worthy.
Right, those voices that keep us playing small.
It's chilling how Bluebeard's wife, driven by curiosity, opens that forbidden door, only to find, well, the silence parts of herself. It's a reminder that we can become our own worst enemies.
By internalizing those limiting beliefs.
Exactly.
So it's about reclaiming our power, standing up for ourselves, and breaking free from those toxic patterns.
Yes, those patterns that keep us trapped in fear and self-doubt. And that brings us to Vasilisa, a story rich with symbolism. It's about a young woman's journey to find Baba Yaga, that wild, instinctive teacher.
She's given a doll representing her intuition, and she faces challenges like the fiery skull symbolizing discrimination. It's a reminder to trust our inner guidance and persevere through adversity.
Vasilisa's journey is all about accessing inner wisdom and power, embracing her wild nature. It reminds us that the path to wholeness can be challenging, but it leads to strength and resilience.
Another powerful story is The Handless Maiden, which focuses on that theme of descent and dismemberment.
Ultimately leading to regeneration and reclaiming one's power.
Right. Yeah. It's like the maiden's hands, representing her creative power, are cut off, forcing her to make a deal with the devil. But she's guided through the underworld, nourished by a pear tree, and eventually meets the king, representing the wise masculine within.
That's an interesting interpretation.
What strikes me is that even when dismembered, she perseveres. She regains her hands, now made of silver. It's a powerful message about resilience and renewal.
Absolutely. It shows that even when we feel broken or lost, there's always potential for healing and growth.
We have to trust the process, even when it's painful, and know that, the feminine spirit can rise from the ashes.
Stronger than before. Now, these stories are incredibly powerful metaphors.
But I imagine some people might be thinking, okay, but how do I actually apply these ideas to my life?
That's a great question. And luckily, Estes offers some guidance.
Okay, good.
It starts with honoring our intuition, learning to listen to that inner voice.
The one that's often drowned out by the noise of the world?
Right. And it's about paying attention to those subtle nudges, those gut feelings that guide us toward our authentic path.
It's not always easy to do that, is it?
No, it's not.
We're so conditioned to follow external authorities and societal expectations.
But the more we cultivate that inner knowing, the stronger it becomes, like a muscle we need to exercise.
So how do we strengthen that muscle? What are some practical ways to do that?
One powerful tool is embracing creativity. Find activities that spark your passion, whether it's writing, dancing, painting, gardening.
Anything that lets you express yourself freely.
And it's not about being good at it. It's about the process of connecting with that creative energy that flows through us.
Right, like tapping into that childlike sense of wonder.
Allowing ourselves to experiment, make mistakes, and just enjoy the process.
Estes also emphasizes spending time in nature. There's something about being in the wild that just awakens that wildness within us.
Absolutely. It's a way to reconnect with the rhythms of the natural world, to ground ourselves, to come back to our senses.
And to remember who we are at our core.
Exactly. It's like nature holds up a mirror to our own wild souls, reminding us of our inherent power and beauty.
Along with connecting with nature, cultivating self-compassion is crucial. It's about treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, accepting ourselves.
Flaws and all, right?
Yeah, which can be so challenging in a world that's constantly telling us we need to be perfect, to achieve, to strive for more.
You're absolutely right. But self-compassion is essential for nurturing our wild woman. It's about recognizing that we are worthy of love and belonging just as we are.
Wildness and all.
Exactly. And finally, it's about surrounding ourselves with our soul family.
Those people who support and encourage our authentic selves.
The ones who celebrate our victories, hold our hand through our struggles, and remind us of our strength and beauty when we forget.
They're the ones who help us rise up and encourage us to keep dancing to the beat of our own wild drum.
Exactly. They are essential for our journey back to wholeness.
It's been a truly insightful exploration so far. I feel like we've uncovered so much about the wild woman archetype and this whole journey of reclaiming her.
We've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more wisdom that Estes offers.
Yeah, there really is. So let's dive even deeper into these stories and, their relevance to our listeners in the next part.
We'll explore more tales, unpack their symbolism, and uncover even more practical tools for nurturing your own wild woman.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. Stay tuned for more insights and inspiration. So we've explored some captivating stories, those tales that illuminate different aspects of the wild woman archetype, and of course that journey of reclaiming her.
Yeah, it's been fascinating.
But now let's delve into a few more tales, stories that offer these unique perspectives on this path.
Okay, ready to dive deeper.
One story that really grabbed my attention, and I'm sure it resonated with many, is the red shoes.
Yeah, that's a powerful one.
It's a cautionary tale, about losing touch with our instincts, sacrificing those soulful desires for those fleeting thrills.
Right, like when we get caught up in chasing external validation instead of listening to our inner compass.
Precisely. The young girl in the story, she's captivated by these red shoes, which symbolize this vibrant life force, right? But then societal pressures come in and she's forced to suppress her desires.
Which leads her to make a deal with the devil.
Exactly. And ultimately, she's cursed to dance uncontrollably in these red shoes, leading to her, destruction.
It's a stark warning about the consequences of ignoring our inner compass, isn't it?
It really is. The red shoes represent that shadow side of the wild woman.
The part of us that craves excitement and pleasure, but it can be destructive if we're not careful.
Absolutely. Especially when we're talking about societal pressures, particularly for women. I mean, it can really disconnect us from our authentic selves.
Leading to a sort of spiritual starvation.
Exactly. We end up chasing things that promise fulfillment, but, they leave us feeling empty.
We deny our authentic desires and create this void that we try to fill with, unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Precisely. It's crucial to recognize those patterns and make a conscious choice to nourish ourselves with what truly feeds our soul.
Absolutely. So shifting gears a bit, let's explore the Seal Woman.
Ah, yes. A story that speaks to that longing for soul connection and, the cyclical nature of returning to our wild home.
I love the imagery of that title.
The Seal Woman. She represents that soul self, that part of us that yearns for a deeper connection with, our instincts, the wild.
The part of us that gets lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
You got it. She's captured by a fisherman who hides her seal skin, essentially trapping her in the human world, you see.
It's like a metaphor for how we often lose touch with our souls amid the demands of daily life.
It is. We get so caught up in our roles and responsibilities that we forget to nurture our inner world.
And that neglect can lead to this feeling of emptiness, this longing for something more.
Absolutely. And the story reminds us that creating space for solitude and introspection is crucial.
For reconnecting with that deep, wild part of ourselves.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that powerful image of returning to our wild home.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It is. The journey of reclaiming the wild woman is an ongoing process. It's not a destination, but a cycle, embracing the ebb and flow of our wild nature.
I love that perspective. It's a call to honor those natural rhythms within us.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to a story that explores a powerful and often misunderstood emotion.
Rage. Ooh, interesting.
The crescent moon bear. It delves into the shadow side of the feminine and showcases that raw, primal energy that can be, both destructive and transformative.
Rage is so often seen as a negative emotion, especially for women.
Exactly. But Estes offers a different perspective.
How does she reframe this powerful energy?
Well, the woman in the story, she's dealing with trauma, symbolized by her husband's rage and withdrawal. So she seeks guidance from the crescent moon bear, who represents the instinctive psyche, to find healing.
So the bear is more like a teacher than a monster.
Precisely. And she guides her to integrate and harness her rage. It's a reminder that rage is a natural human emotion, particularly when we've experienced injustice or violation.
It's not about suppressing or denying it.
No, it's about learning to work with it, channeling it constructively.
That's such an empowering perspective.
It is. It's about reclaiming our power and using it for healing and transformation. It also emphasizes the importance of seeking guidance from wise mentors, those who can help us navigate those challenging terrains of our inner world.
That makes sense. We don't have to go through these challenges alone, do we?
No, we don't. Okay, let's move into the realm of creativity now with Clear Water, nourishing the creative life.
Creativity. That's such a vital part of the wild woman archetype.
Absolutely. Estes uses this metaphor of a river to represent the flow of creative energy.
And highlights how this river can become blocked or polluted.
Exactly. Leading to a loss of vitality and inspiration.
We've all experienced those creative blocks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels like a part of us just withers when we deny those creative urges.
What are some things that can stifle our creativity?
Oh, there are many sources. Societal pressures, self-doubt, fear of failure, even perfectionism.
And even over-responsibility, right? Like taking on too much.
Yes. All of these can create internal dams that prevent our creative energy from flowing freely.
I've struggled with perfectionism and self-doubt, and I know how much it can hinder my creativity.
It's a constant process of learning to overcome those inner critics, isn't it?
It really is. It's a journey.
It is. And La Llorona, the weeping woman, exemplifies the grief and despair that can arise when our creative life force is stifled,
She represents the artist who starved for recognition and support.
ultimately freezing to death in a world that doesn't value her gifts.
It's a tragic tale, and it reminds us of the importance of finding our tribe, those who will see and appreciate our unique offerings.
Exactly. And it highlights the dangers of relying on external validation for our sense of worth.
So it's more about cultivating that inner fire.
Exactly. It's that belief in ourselves and our creative visions, even when the world doesn't seem to understand or appreciate them.
And protecting that inner spark.
Yes, from the harshness of external judgment. And speaking of finding those who see and appreciate our gifts, I'm reminded of the Match Girl story.
Right, the artist who is so desperately seeking recognition and support.
A poignant reminder that true validation comes from within.
It's about honoring our unique expression and not letting external pressures extinguish that creative fire.
Absolutely. And remember, those fallow periods, they're a natural part of the creative process.
Those times when we feel stuck or uninspired.
Exactly. Estes reminds us that those are not failures. They're cycles of rest and replenishment.
It's like nature itself, right? There are seasons of growth and seasons of dormancy.
You got it. We need to honor those rhythms in our creative lives as well.
So it's about trusting the process.
Yes. Knowing that the creative force is always working within us, even when it's not immediately visible.
Like,
The story of Three Gold Hairs speaks to this, about reclaiming our focus when we feel lost or stuck.
okay, tell me more about this one.
Well, there's this old woman in the story, Lake Sabe, who embodies that wise inner guide.
Mm.
And she advises the protagonist to, get this, throw 3 hairs from his head to the ground.
What? Why?
It symbolizes a willingness to let go of what no longer serves him, you see.
Oh, I see. Creating space for new possibilities.
Exactly. Shedding old ideas, beliefs, or habits that are blocking our creative flow. It's about making space for the new, the unexpected, that wild inspiration that's always there waiting to be discovered.
Sometimes we need to let go to make room for the magic, right?
Beautifully said. And along with those internal aspects of reclaiming the wild woman, there's this powerful message about embracing our sensuality and sexuality.
As a source of power and creative expression.
You got it. Now, this is something that's often shrouded in shame, especially for women.
Yeah.
But Estes, she introduces this concept of the hand that stirs the cauldron, exploring that erotic life force that flows through all of creation.
She's challenging that demonization of this energy, especially for women.
Exactly. Emphasizing its vitality. It's about reclaiming our bodies, our pleasure, our sexuality as a source of strength and creativity.
It's about moving beyond shame and embracing the fullness of our embodied experience.
Yes. Recognizing that the erotic isn't just about sex.
Right.
It's a much deeper experience.
Right.
Encompassing all our senses, feeling the sun on our skin, the taste of food, the beauty of art, the joy of human connection.
It's about allowing ourselves to feel fully and to experience the world through our senses.
Precisely. And honoring the cyclical nature of our erotic energy, understanding that it ebbs and flows.
Sometimes intense, sometimes still.
Exactly. And the hungry woman's story illustrates this beautifully.
The woman who literally eats her husband.
Yes. It's a metaphor for how we can consume and be consumed in relationships when our needs aren't met.
So it's a reminder about self-nurturing.
Yes, recognizing our own hunger and finding healthy ways to feed it.
Setting boundaries.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about the positive aspects of the wild woman.
But it's important to address the shadow side as well. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Those darker, more destructive aspects of our nature. Estes acknowledges that the wild woman isn't always easy to deal with.
She has her challenges.
She does. She can be fierce, untamed, even dangerous. The Earl King explores this shadow side.
The story about the young woman seduced and destroyed by that, otherworldly being.
Yes. He represents that shadow side of the masculine, seductive, but destructive.
It's about recognizing those internal forces that can lead us astray, those voices of self-sabotage and negativity.
Absolutely. It's about learning to discern between authentic connections and relationships that are ultimately harmful.
And having the strength to walk away from anything that threatens our well-being.
You got it. Trusting our gut instincts.
Yeah.
And Robert Bridegroom also delves into this shadow side, this time through a young woman who unknowingly marries, a murderer.
It's a terrifying tale that really emphasizes the importance of intuition.
And never ignoring those gut feelings. It's about reclaiming our power to say no, to walk away from unsafe situations.
And to protect ourselves.
Exactly. We need to cultivate that fierce protective instinct within ourselves. The wild woman who knows her worth.
And won't tolerate being mistreated.
Absolutely. And that instinct is often born from facing our fears and embracing the unknown.
Which is a central theme woven through so many of these stories.
Yes. The journey of reclaiming the wild woman, it requires courage, resilience, and stepping outside of our comfort zones.
That's like Vasilisa.
Exactly. Her journey is about confronting the unknown, trusting her intuition, and finding her power. She faces Baba Yaga and navigates all these challenges that test her strength.
And it's in those challenges that she discovers her true potential.
Precisely. It reminds us that the things that scare us most, they often lead to our greatest growth.
Embracing the darkness, knowing that it holds the seeds of our transformation.
Exactly. And remembering that we are not alone on this journey.
We have each other.
We do. The wild woman archetype is this collective force connecting us all. We can draw strength from those who have walked the path before us, right?
And offer our own wisdom to those who follow.
It's a beautiful cycle of support and empowerment. Now, we've talked a lot about the internal aspects.
But there's another crucial aspect we need to address. The power of voice.
Yes. It's not enough to just connect with the wild woman within. We need to give her a voice, let her express herself in the world.
To speak her truth.
Estes talks about singing over the bones, using our voices to breathe life into our stories, our dreams, our creative visions.
And to break free from the silence that has often been imposed on women.
Exactly. Reclaiming our right to speak our truth and to share our stories. Our voices have power, to heal, to inspire, to create change.
The handless maiden illustrates this beautifully. The maiden's hands are cut off, symbolizing that loss of voice and creative power. But she regains her hands, made of silver, representing a more refined and powerful expression of her voice.
It's a beautiful metaphor for reclaiming our power, even after experiencing silencing.
It's a reminder that we always have the potential to speak our truth and share our gifts.
Exactly. And finding that courage to speak up, to share our stories, and to use our voices to make a difference.
It's been such a rich exploration, uncovering so much about the wild woman and that multifaceted journey of reclaiming her.
It really has. We've journeyed through stories of loss and redemption, faced our shadows, and discovered ways to nurture our creative spirits.
It's been powerful.
It has. And as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's remember, this is just the beginning. Reclaiming the wild woman is a lifelong process.
It's an unfolding of who we are.
At our deepest, most authentic level. It's not about reaching a destination, but embracing the journey.
With all its twists and turns.
Exactly. And trusting that the wild woman is always with us, guiding us as we strive to live more fully.
More authentically.
In our next part, we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and insights that you can carry with you on your own journey.
We'll explore the power of connection and community.
And the ways we can use our wild wisdom to create a more just and beautiful world. I'm excited to delve into those reflections.
Me too. It's been an incredible journey so far. We've covered so much ground in our deep dive into Clarissa Pinkola Estes' work and the wild woman archetype.
Really delve deep into these stories.
Yeah, stories of loss and redemption, facing those shadows within us, and how to nurture our creative spirits.
What's become clear is that the wild woman, she's more than just an idea, right? She's a force.
A vital energy that animates our lives.
Pushing us to embrace our instincts, creativity, those things that make us who we truly are.
What really struck me, though, is that Estes, she doesn't give us like a step-by-step guide.
To reclaiming the wild woman, right?
Yeah, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
It's more like she's offering this toolbox full of stories.
And symbols.
Each one unlocking these different doors within us.
So it's a deeply personal journey, then.
It is.
Where we each have to find the tools that resonate with our own souls.
Using them to unlock our unique wild potential.
It's about listening to our intuition, following the path that feels most authentic.
That's the key,
We've talked about the challenges of reclaiming the wild woman, especially in a society that often tries to tame her.
To put her in a box.
But I think it's also important to acknowledge that incredible strength and resilience that, the feminine spirit has.
Especially in the face of these challenges, right?
Exactly. The stories we've explored, they're filled with women who face such hardship.
Betrayal, loss, abuse.
But they come out of those trials stronger, wiser.
And more deeply connected to who they are.
Like a wildflower pushing through cracks in the pavement.
The more they're pushed down, the more fiercely they rise up.
The wild woman, she can't be contained.
She's a force of nature.
And it's inspiring to see how these women, how they use those experiences to fuel their creativity, their compassion.
And their commitment to living authentically, right?
They become healers, artists, mothers.
Shaping the world with their gifts.
And I think that brings us to a crucial point. Reclaiming the wild woman isn't just about, this individual transformation.
It's about something bigger.
It is. Estes writes, wolves are good at relationships. Anyone who has observed wolves sees how deeply they bond. And I think that applies to the wild woman, too.
Interesting connection.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness, understanding that we're all part of a larger web of life.
Using our wild wisdom to heal and create a more just and beautiful world.
It's been such a powerful reminder of the wild woman's strength.
Her ability to inspire us to live more authentically.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope these stories and insights have ignited a spark within you, a yearning to connect with your own wild nature.
And to unleash her power in the world.
Remember, she's there waiting within you. And as you continue on this journey, you are not alone.
We're all connected through the shared wild spirit.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Did you get any of that?